On a cold Lagos night, an innocent 12-year-old girl was thrown out of the only home she thought she had, while her father, hundreds of kilometers away in Abuja, still believes she is safe. Will Jessica continue hiding the painful truth from Jeffrey to protect his peace? Or will someone finally expose what really happened before it's too late? As guilt consumes Temi from the inside out, Annabelle is more determined than ever to uncover the truth. But when Jeffrey finally steps back into his home, will he forgive the woman he loved? Or will Jessica's tears shatter their relationship beyond repair? This part brings shocking revelations, long-awaited emotional reunions, and a life-changing confrontation you simply cannot afford to miss. If this story continues to touch your heart, please like this video, share it with your friends and family, and subscribe to the channel for more powerful Nollywood-style African love stories and family dramas. Turn on the notification bell so you'll be the first to watch Part 5. The biggest twist of the entire season is still to come. The next morning, the first rays of sunlight spread across Lagos, lighting up the busy streets as people hurried to work. Inside Jeffrey's uncle's modest two-bedroom apartment in Yaba, Jessica slowly opened her eyes. For a few seconds, she forgot where she was. She looked around. The small sitting room had a simple fabric sofa, an old television on a wooden stand, and neatly arranged family photographs on the cream-painted walls. Then, everything came rushing back. She had been sent away. A tear rolled down her cheek. The aroma of pap and akara drifted from the kitchen. Jeffrey's uncle, Uncle Samuel, smiled warmly as Jessica entered. "Good morning, my princess." Jessica forced a smile. "Good morning, Uncle." He noticed her swollen eyes. "You didn't sleep well." "I'm okay." He gently shook his head. "No, but I won't force you to talk." He placed a plate of hot akara before her. "You need strength." Jessica quietly sat down. As she picked up a piece of akara, Uncle Samuel smiled. "Your father used to eat 10 pieces before going to school." Jessica looked surprised. 10? Sometimes 12. Jessica laughed through her tears. "Daddy?" "Yes, he was as stubborn as a goat." Jessica giggled. "I'm going to tell him." Uncle Samuel laughed loudly. "Please don't. He'll say I'm exposing family secrets." For the first time since leaving Temi's house, Jessica genuinely smiled. After breakfast, Uncle Samuel sat beside Jessica. "My dear, I think we should call your father." Jessica immediately shook her head. "No, Uncle. He needs to finish his training. But he should know." She held his hand. "Please, if Daddy comes back now, he may lose the opportunity. I don't want that." Uncle Samuel looked at the little girl in amazement. At just 12 years old, she was already sacrificing her own happiness for her father's future. He sighed. "You're just like your father." Jessica smiled faintly. "He taught me to be strong." That Monday morning, Uncle Samuel drove Jessica to school. As they approached the school gate, Jessica looked around nervously. "What if someone asks where I'm living now?" Uncle Samuel smiled. "Tell them you're staying with family." She nodded. "Okay." Inside the classroom, Jessica tried her best to focus on her lessons, but every break time, she found herself thinking about Jeffrey and about Temi. She still couldn't understand why someone who once hugged her every day had suddenly stopped loving her. Back at the Okoye mansion, the silence was unbearable. No cheerful voice shouted, "Good morning, Auntie." No school bag lay carelessly on the sofa. No laughter echoed from upstairs. Chef Musa quietly prepared breakfast. Temi walked into the dining room. She looked around. The 12-seater dining table suddenly looked too big, too empty. She sat down. Chef Musa served breakfast. She took one bite, then dropped her spoon. "I'm not hungry." Chef Musa couldn't stay silent anymore. "Madam," Temi looked up. "The house misses Jessica." Temi looked away. "I know. And," Chef Musa continued carefully, "you miss her too." She didn't answer. Because he was right. Later that afternoon, Annabelle stopped by the mansion, carrying some books for Jessica. She rang the bell. Auntie Grace opened the door. "Good afternoon." Good afternoon. I'm here to see Jessica. Auntie Grace lowered her head. She's no longer here. Annabelle frowned. What do you mean? Auntie Grace looked around before speaking softly. Madam asked her to leave. Annabelle froze. What? Her voice echoed through the hallway. Temmie, who had been walking downstairs, stopped immediately. Annabelle turned toward her. You sent Jessica away? Temmie looked uncomfortable. I was angry. Annabelle stepped closer. She is 12 years old. Temmie lowered her eyes. I know. Do you know where she slept? No. Annabelle interrupted. You didn't even ask? Silence. Auntie Grace quietly wiped away a tear. Annabelle looked directly at Temmie. I warned you. I told you not to punish that little girl. Temmie whispered, I didn't think. No, you didn't. Annabelle's voice softened. Temmie, being hurt in the past is not an excuse to hurt innocent people. Those words landed heavily. Temmie slowly sat on the staircase. For the first time, she truly saw what she had done. Tears rolled down her face. I made a terrible mistake. Annabelle nodded. Yes, you did. That evening, Jeffrey called Jessica as usual. She stepped outside Uncle Samuel's apartment before answering. Hello, Daddy. My princess, how are you? I'm fine. How's Auntie Temmie? Jessica looked toward the evening sky. She swallowed the lump in her throat. She's fine. And are you behaving yourself? Jessica smiled sadly. Yes. Jeffrey laughed. I knew you would. I've got good news. What is it? My trainers have shortlisted me for one of the senior management positions. Jessica's face brightened. Really? Yes. I'll tell you everything when I come home. I'm so proud of you, Daddy. Thank you, Princess. After the call ended, Jessica hugged the phone tightly. She whispered, I miss you so much. Then she quietly cried. Miles away in Abuja, Jeffrey smiled as he looked at a photo of himself and Jessica on his phone. He believed his daughter was safe. He believed the woman he trusted was keeping her promise. He had no idea that the foundation of that trust had already collapsed. And when the truth finally reached him, someone's heart would be broken beyond repair. 6 weeks came to an end. Abuja. The final day of the Executive Hospitality Training Program had arrived. Inside the modern conference hall of the Royal Heritage Hospitality Group, the trainees sat elegantly dressed, waiting for the closing ceremony. Jeffrey adjusted his navy blue suit and whispered to himself, Thank you, Lord. The journey that had started with pain and uncertainty was about to open a new chapter in his life. The managing director walked onto the stage. The room became silent. He smiled proudly. Ladies and gentlemen, you have all worked extremely hard, but a few participants have exceeded our expectations. Everyone applauded. He opened an envelope. Our overall best trainee is... A long pause filled the hall. Mr. Jeffrey Johnson. The room erupted with applause. Jeffrey covered his mouth in shock. One trainee nudged him. Olga, stand up now. Another joked, If you faint, we'll collect the award. The hall burst into laughter. Jeffrey walked onto the stage. The managing director shook his hand. Congratulations. You've demonstrated exceptional leadership, humility, and professionalism. He handed Jeffrey a certificate and another envelope. This contains your training allowance, a performance bonus, and your appointment letter. Jeffrey's hands trembled as he opened it. He had been appointed regional operations manager for the company's Lagos division. His salary was more than he had ever imagined earning. Tears gathered in his eyes. This is for you, Jessica, he whispered. Immediately after the ceremony, Jeffrey stepped outside and dialed Jessica's number. She answered on the first ring. Daddy, my princess, I have amazing news. What is it? I got the job. Jessica jumped up from Uncle Samuel's sofa. You did? Yes. And guess what? What? We're starting a new life. Jessica smiled through tears. I'm so happy, Daddy. When are you coming home? Tomorrow morning. I can't wait to hug you. Jessica swallowed hard. I can't wait too. She wanted to tell him everything. She almost did. but she stopped herself. "I'll tell him when he gets back," she whispered after the call ended. The following day, Jeffrey returned to Lagos. Before going anywhere else, he met with a property agent. After viewing several houses, he settled on a beautiful 2-bedroom bungalow in Lekki. The compound was neat and secure. The sitting room featured modern furniture, soft lighting, stylish wall art, and large windows that welcomed plenty of natural light. The kitchen had sleek white cabinets, granite countertops, and modern appliances. The bedrooms were spacious and comfortable. Jeffrey smiled. "This is perfect." He paid the rent immediately, using part of his training allowance. As he collected the keys, he whispered, "Jessica will love this place." From the new house, Jeffrey drove straight to Uncle Samuel's apartment. He smiled as he knocked. Jessica opened the door. She dropped everything and ran into his arms. Jeffrey lifted her off the ground. "My princess, I missed you so much." "I missed you too." Uncle Samuel smiled warmly. "Welcome back, my boy." "Thank you, Uncle." Jeffrey looked around. Then he frowned. "Why is Jessica here?" The room became quiet. Jessica looked down. Uncle Samuel sighed deeply. "It's time you knew the truth." Jeffrey's smile slowly disappeared. "What truth?" Uncle Samuel narrated everything. How Temmie's attitude had changed. How Jessica had been shouted at repeatedly. How she was eventually sent out of the mansion late at night. How Mama Bisi had found her. How Jessica begged everyone not to tell them so he could finish his training. As the story unfolded, Jeffrey remained completely silent. He didn't interrupt. He didn't ask questions. He simply listened. Jessica slowly walked over. "Daddy, I'm sorry I didn't tell you." Jeffrey immediately hugged her tightly. "No, you have nothing to apologize for. You protected my future when you should have been protected yourself." His voice broke. "I'm so sorry I wasn't there." Jessica hugged him even tighter. "I knew you'd come back." Annabelle arrives. Just then there was a knock on the door. Annabelle stepped inside. She smiled. "Welcome back, Jeffrey." "Thank you." She noticed the emotional atmosphere. "I guess you know everything now." Jeffrey nodded. "Yes." Annabelle looked at Jessica. "I'm glad you're safe." She then turned to Jeffrey. "I wanted to tell you earlier, but Jessica begged all of us not to." Jeffrey smiled gratefully. "Thank you for watching over her." Annabelle shook her head. "I only did what anyone should do." Temmie's regret grows. At that same moment, inside her luxurious Ikoyi mansion, Temmie sat alone in the now empty living room. She stared at Jessica's forgotten coloring book on the coffee table. Beside it was the handmade card Jessica had made weeks earlier. This time, Temmie opened it completely. She read every word. "Daddy says people who show kindness are angels. Thank you for being my angel." Tears streamed down her face. She clutched the card to her chest. "What have I done?" Her phone was in her hand. She dialed Jeffrey's number. It rang and rang. But Jeffrey looked at the screen, saw her name, and quietly placed the phone face down on the table without answering. Some wounds were too fresh for words, and although fate would bring them face to face very soon, Temmie was about to learn that asking for forgiveness is much easier than earning back someone's trust. 3 days later, Jeffrey and Jessica had finally settled into their beautiful new 2-bedroom bungalow in Lekki. The house wasn't as extravagant as Temmie's Ikoyi mansion, but it was warm, peaceful, and full of laughter. The sitting room featured comfortable gray sofas, a large smart television, elegant wooden wall panels, indoor plants, and framed family photographs. For the first time in many months, Jessica truly felt at home. Saturday morning. The smell of pancakes drifted from the modern kitchen. Jeffrey stood wearing an apron that read, "World's Best Dad." Jessica burst into laughter. "Daddy? What? Who bought that apron?" Jeffrey smiled proudly. "I did." Jessica folded her arms dramatically. "You actually paid money to advertise yourself?" Jeffrey laughed. "It's called confidence." Jessica shook her head. "No, it's called self-promotion." Both of them laughed loudly. "Uncle Samuel, who had come to visit, entered the kitchen. He looked at Jeffrey's apron. "Olga, I think Jessica has a point." Jeffrey pretended to be offended. "Nobody appreciates greatness in this family." Jessica raised her hand. "I appreciate breakfast." Everyone burst into laughter. The warmth in the house slowly healed the wounds they had carried for months. Meanwhile, back in her luxurious Ikoyi mansion, Temmie had become a shadow of herself. Every room reminded her of Jeffrey and Jessica. The dining table reminded her of their breakfast together. The garden reminded her of Jeffrey watering the flowers with Jessica. The kitchen reminded her of Chef Musa and Jeffrey arguing over recipes. Even the staircase reminded her of Jessica running downstairs every morning, shouting, "Good morning, Auntie." Now, the mansion felt painfully empty. One evening, Auntie Grace found Temmie sitting alone in the living room, staring at Jessica's forgotten mathematics notebook. "Madam?" Temmie looked up. "I miss them." Auntie Grace sighed. "I know." Temmie whispered, "I made the biggest mistake of my life." That night, Temmie picked up her phone again. She typed another message to Jeffrey. "Jeffrey, I'm deeply sorry for everything. I hurt you and Jessica. Please forgive me. Can we talk?" She pressed send. A few minutes later, no reply. She called. The phone rang, then stopped. Again, no answer. She tried one more time. Nothing. She placed the phone on the table and buried her face in her hands. "I deserve this." The following afternoon, Maureen arrived, smiling as usual. "My dear." But this time, Temmie didn't smile back. Maureen sat down. "What's wrong?" Temmie looked directly at her. "Jessica is gone." "I know." Jeffrey came back. "I know. He won't answer my calls." Maureen shrugged. "He'll get over it." Temmie's eyes widened. "Get over it? You made me doubt a good man." Maureen frowned. "I was only trying to protect you." Temmie stood up. "No, you are feeding my fears. You never gave him a chance." Maureen crossed her arms. "So now it's my fault?" Temmie replied firmly. "No, the decision was mine. I chose to listen. I chose to ignore the truth. I chose to send an innocent child into the night." The room fell silent. For the first time, Maureen had no reply. Later that evening, Annabelle stopped by the mansion after hearing from Auntie Grace that Temmie had been crying for days. She found Temmie sitting alone on the balcony. Annabelle quietly joined her. After a few moments, Temmie spoke. "I've lost him." "You probably have." Tears rolled down Temmie's face. "I love him, I know. I was just scared." Annabelle looked at her. "Fear explains mistakes. It doesn't erase them." Temmie lowered her head. "What should I do?" Annabelle answered honestly. "Apologize. I already did." "Then give him time. You can't demand forgiveness. You can only earn it." Temmie nodded slowly. The next morning, a moving truck stopped outside Jeffrey's new bungalow. Inside were a few remaining belongings from Temmie's mansion. Jessica's books, her clothes, Jeffrey's old laptop, some kitchen utensils Jeffrey had bought years ago, and one small box. Jessica opened it. Inside was the handmade thank you card she had made for Temmie. She smiled sadly. "Daddy," she sent it back. Jeffrey looked at the card quietly. "No. I think she's reminding herself of what she lost." Jessica looked at him. "Are you angry with Auntie?" Jeffrey took a deep breath. "I'm hurt, but I don't hate her." Jessica smiled. "I knew you'd say that." That afternoon, Jeffrey received a call from Annabelle. "Hello, Jeffrey." "Hello, Annabelle. Congratulations on your new job." "Thank you. My uncle would like to meet you and wants someone with integrity to oversee the Lagos operations." Jeffrey smiled. "I'd be honored." Annabelle smiled too. "I knew you'd say yes." After the call ended, Jeffrey looked at Jessica. "Princess." Jessica grinned. "I told you, when God closes one door, he opens a bigger one." Jeffrey laughed. "Who taught you that?" Jessica proudly pointed at him. "You did." As father and daughter laughed together in their new home, Temmie sat alone in her silent mansion, holding her phone and hoping for just one call from Jeffrey. But some silences speak louder than words. And soon, Fate would bring Jeffrey and Temmie together again, not as lovers, but as two people forced to face the painful consequences of the choices they had made. 1 week later, Monday morning, Lagos was already buzzing with traffic as luxury cars, buses, and motorcycles filled the roads. Jeffrey adjusted the collar of his navy blue suit as he drove his new sedan into the headquarters of Royal Heritage Hospitality Group on Victoria Island. The headquarters occupied a magnificent glass building with modern architecture, elegant reception areas, marble floors, indoor waterfalls, and luxurious executive offices. Today was Jeffrey's first official day as the regional operations manager. He smiled. This is a new beginning. The receptionist welcomed him warmly. "Good morning, Mr. Jeffrey." "Good morning." An executive assistant escorted him to the boardroom. Inside, several senior managers were already seated. The managing director stood up. "Gentlemen and ladies, meet our newest regional operations manager, Mr. Jeffrey Johnson." Everyone applauded. Jeffrey greeted them politely. "Thank you. I look forward to working with everyone." One manager whispered to another, "He doesn't behave like someone with such a big position." The other smiled. "That's called humility." Meanwhile, at her corporate office, Temmie was also preparing for an important meeting. Her restaurant chain had been invited to present a proposal for a nationwide partnership with Royal Heritage Hospitality Group. Her assistant entered. "Man, your meeting is by 11 a.m. Temmie nodded. "Let's go." She had no idea who she was about to meet. By exactly 11 a.m., Temmie walked confidently into the luxurious boardroom. She wore a beautifully tailored white designer suit, matching heels, and elegant jewelry. As she entered, she greeted everyone. "Good morning." Then, her eyes met Jeffrey's. She froze. The file in her hand almost slipped to the floor. "Jeffrey." The room became silent. Jeffrey remained calm. He stood politely. "Good morning, Miss Temmie." His voice was respectful, professional. No anger, no warmth, just courtesy. Temmie couldn't believe it. He looked different, more confident, more successful. The managing director smiled. "You two know each other?" Before Temmie could answer, Jeffrey replied, "Yes, we've met before. Nothing more, nothing less." Temmie felt a sharp pain in her chest. The presentation began. Temmie explained her restaurant expansion plans with confidence. Jeffrey listened attentively, asking thoughtful questions about logistics, customer service, food quality, and staff training. His observations impressed everyone. The managing director smiled. "Excellent points, Mr. Jeffrey." Temmie stared at him. This was the same man her friends had called a burden. Now, top executives respected his opinions. She lowered her head in shame. During the coffee break, one of the senior managers picked up a meat pie. He took one bite and frowned dramatically. "Who made this meat pie?" Everyone looked confused. The catering supervisor nervously raised his hand. "Sir," the manager sighed, "the meat pie is too small." The room became quiet. Then he smiled. "I've finished it already." Everyone burst into laughter. Jeffrey laughed so hard that he almost spilled his coffee. Temmie couldn't help laughing too. For the first time in months, she heard Jeffrey's laughter again. It reminded her of happier days. After the meeting ended, Temmie gathered enough courage to approach Jeffrey in the executive lounge. The lounge overlooked the Lagos skyline through floor-to-ceiling glass windows and featured luxurious leather chairs and modern decor. "Jeffrey." He turned politely. "Yes? Can we talk?" He hesitated, then nodded. For a few minutes. Temmie lowered her eyes. "I've called you many times. I know. I'm sorry. I know." Tears filled her eyes. "I don't expect you to forgive me immediately. She struggled to continue. "I hurt Jessica. I hurt you. I became someone I don't even recognize." Jeffrey remained silent. She continued. "I listened to the wrong people. I doubted the one person who never gave me a reason to doubt him." A tear rolled down her cheek. "I'm truly sorry." Jeffrey looked out through the window before speaking. "Temmie, I've already forgiven you in my heart." Her face brightened. "But forgiveness, doesn't erase consequences. Her smile slowly disappeared. You didn't just send me away. You sent my 12-year-old daughter out of your house in the middle of the night. Temmie covered her face and cried. I know. I'll regret that for the rest of my life. Jeffrey nodded sadly. When I left for Abuja, I trusted you with the most precious person in my life. I believed your promise. His voice became emotional. And when Jessica needed protection, she faced fear instead. Silence filled the room. Before leaving, Jeffrey spoke gently. I don't hate you. I sincerely pray you find peace. Temmie looked at him hopefully. Can we ever start again? Jeffrey paused. He looked at her for several seconds, then quietly replied, I don't know. He walked away. Temmie remained standing in the executive lounge, watching the man she still loved disappear down the hallway. For the first time, she understood something that no amount of wealth could change. Some mistakes can be forgiven, but rebuilding broken trust takes far longer than saying, I'm sorry. As Jeffrey stepped into his new office, he had no idea that another surprise awaited him, one that would change not only his future, but also the future of Annabelle, whose quiet kindness had been steadily drawing closer to his heart. Jeffrey has forgiven Temmie. But can a broken heart ever learn to trust again? As Temmie struggles with the consequences of her painful mistake, Jeffrey is focused on building a new life for himself and Jessica. But fate has one more surprise in store. Annabelle's quiet kindness has not gone unnoticed, and a new opportunity is about to bring her and Jeffrey even closer. Is this the beginning of a beautiful new love story? Or will Temmie fight to win back the man she lost? Meanwhile, Maureen refuses to accept defeat. Will she continue to interfere, or will the truth finally expose the damage her advice has caused? Don't miss the next emotional episode, filled with unexpected romance, shocking confrontations, heartfelt reunions, and powerful lessons about love, trust, and second chances. If you're enjoying this Nollywood-style drama, please like this video, share it with your family and friends, and subscribe to the channel for more captivating African love stories and emotional family dramas. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss the next exciting chapter. The biggest twists are still ahead.